let's talk about what it will take to be alive in November. Got a simple true-false question for you guys. Tyler, I'll start with you. At Tennessee, the saying is they remember what you do in November. Not this year. It's September. September. True or false? September is the most important month for this Tennessee football team.
False.
Okay. Why?
Because, again, you have taken so much time for Joey Aguilar to be splitting reps, battling injuries, going through camp battles of who's better than who to figure out, get comfortable with this system. We were talking a little bit about this off the air, and I think it's perfect, so I'll bring it on the air. Syracuse, ETSU, you need to chalk Georgia up for what Georgia is. I know everybody's gonna hit with the Stetson Bennett first true, or not Stetson Bennett.
Stockton.
Yeah, thank you, under Stockton. First true road game, and I hear you there. They're just on a different level right now. UAB and Trent Dilford, you go on that road trip down to Mississippi State, Starkville. So if you start 4-1 going into your open date, I think you're doing pretty solid. You come off that open date, and then you've got matchups against an Arkansas team you're supposed to beat last year, the revenge factor, and what are they going to throw at you with a pretty darn good quarterback? You would then have the Alabama game where Kalen DeBoer's not going to want to start 0-2. Point I'm getting at, okay, October is where it is for me because if you finish below 500 just in the month alone, 3 games, and you do have to go to Kroger Field in Kentucky, you go 1-2 after starting 4-1 in the month of September, you've essentially eliminated yourself from the college football playoff.
Okay. Who's next?
It's false for me on September. I don't know where you're going with this, but I think it's an important month for Tennessee to develop as a team. So I think I can see that argument for September to be a big month because you've got to get Jermod McCoy back. You've got to get your receivers up to speed.
You got to get some sort of chemistry between your quarterback and receivers.
You got to get Joey Aguilar up to speed. I think the first month is important for that reason. But in terms of just bottom line, I think it's November because you got Oklahoma, you got Vanderbilt, and you got Florida. All 3 games you could lose. 2 of them on the road. The Florida game in particular may decide whether this team goes to the playoff or not.
September's the most important. True or false?
I'm saying false. I think it's November as well. I think that's going to make or break your season. If you lose 2 of those games in November, or 3, then it's going to be a failed season. So the tone setter is September, and I think it's a close call, but the tone setter is September. But I think if you fall and screw up November, then that's what people are going to remember. So I think it's November.
I say false as well in September. I think it is November. It's the one month where you have 2 ranked teams, at least as we sit right now, that you play. And it's an improved Oklahoma team. Yes, it's at home, but it can be tricky. And then Florida. Florida has kept you from doing a whole lot in the past, so I do think it's November.
2 road games in the month of October. I understand one of them is in Lexington, but Josh Heupel, the ability to win away from Neyland Stadium is always a huge storyline.
I'll say it's true that September is the most important, and here's why. You said, okay, if you come through this 4-1, what if you don't come out of it 4-1?
Then that adds more stock. No, it's not done, but October and November is a must haul.
If you are 3-2 coming out of September, you have lost to Syracuse. All right, that would be a bad, or Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Either one of those is going to be a terrible loss.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Forget the playoff. Because if you also chalk it up as a loss to Georgia, so if you come out of this month with 2 losses, Georgia's your best chance to make up ground in a playoff. Georgia's the best win you can have this year. Because I don't know what Florida's going to be at the end of the year. I don't know what Oklahoma's going to be at the end of the year. Both those teams could be chewed up and spit out by the time you face them.
Sure.
Syracuse has an ungodly schedule. They literally play 9 teams that were like in the top 25 this year. Most of them are on the road. If you lose to them early and then they get their brains kicked in the rest of the way, that loss can look horrible. I think if you don't come out of September 4-1, you're in real trouble, and people have already said, well, we're done with the playoff. Because I don't know that you can make enough ground. If you lose to Georgia the way you always lose to Georgia, and you somehow lose to Syracuse or Mississippi State, I don't know that you can make up enough ground by beating Florida, who may be 3-4 losses by the time you see them. Oklahoma may be 3 or 4 losses by the time you see them. I don't think you can crawl back into the playoff race. Now, do I think they'll beat Syracuse? Yes, I do. I think they'll beat Mississippi State too. But we're just talking about what's important, and in my view, this is your easiest month. You better take advantage of it. And I don't think you're going to pull the Georgia upset. So who have you got? If you're walking around right now saying, there's nobody else that scares me on this schedule, that's a 2-way street. Because that also means there's no one that's going to impress people around the country if you pull off wins against these teams.
I would say just to counter that,
Yeah.
you could go 4-1 in September. It doesn't guarantee you anything after that. It doesn't guarantee that
Yeah.
you're going to not have losses. And so
I'm
then
just
how
saying-
important is that?
Well, because I wouldn't want to have to play 2 more months knowing I'm not going to the playoffs, as opposed to losing the playoff spot in November. You're at least competing for it later. If you blow this thing in September, people are going to be upset for the rest of the season. If you lose to Syracuse and Mississippi State, you're going to be dealing with grumbling. You lose to Georgia, you'll have some grumbling, but people will understand it. They're not going to understand Syracuse or Mississippi
If they lose
State.
to Syracuse and Mississippi State, I bet we've got a freshman starting at quarterback before the end of the year.
Okay, there you go. Let's say if you don't come out of this 4-1, is Aguilar your quarterback?
It's,
Going
it's
into
at least an
October?
open question.
It's the most important month, boys.
Yep.
Go ahead, finish it.
Alabama?
Not
At
important.
Alabama?
No, it is important, but that's not going to get you wins. That's not going to get you clout like Georgia. I don't know what Alabama's going to have this year.
Alabama might be really good, I think.
They may be,
So,
but you
I'm
also
on the
don't
same
know
page.
anything about their quarterback. They got a quarterback. Did they pick the right guy?
I personally believe they didn't. Good point.
Chuck Cavaleris would say all of them are important.
They're all important. That's it. So anyway. Yeah, we covered all our bases. We had in September, we had in October, and we had a bunch of Novembers. I thought so. Thank you, Tyler.